Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. Joining us for the segment, we have Eric Satz, founder and CEO of Alto Solutions. We're going to take a look at the financial future for millennials and how they perceive it. Eric, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
Thanks for having me, Jill. Happy to be here.
Thank you. And your recent report out of Alto looked at millennials' views on investing in retirement. What were some of the key findings?
So they were certainly very interesting. And I think what's really important before I just directly answer your question is to understand the context in which the research report was performed. The first thing is that the mission of Alto is to unlock access to alternative assets for all investors. And by alternative assets, we mean private equity, venture capital, real estate, artwork, and even crypto. And many of these asset classes historically have lived within a walled garden that have been off limits to most and only accessible by high net worth, ultra high net worth individuals. And so when you think about where we all have the majority of our investable assets, that's in our retirement accounts. So we use the IRA as a way to enable access for all individuals to invest in these alternative assets. And so when we went out to do the report, we wanted to know, if millennials, thought they could, reach retirement and be able to retire, and B, whether or not they trusted the stock market as a place for them to achieve that financial goal. And unfortunately, what we found is that most millennials do not think that they will be in a financial situation in the future where they'll be able to retire, or at least be able to retire by their desired age, which is 59, as opposed to the average of 67 today.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they're looking to achieve that life-work balance all the way up until retirement. So what do these findings mean when it comes to the financial future for millennials?
Well, there's a big question mark around it, because if you think about where most people invest today, which is in the stock market, 76% of millennials think that a stock market crash will wipe out all of their savings and investments. 74% believe that investing in the stock market is basically the same as gambling. And 60% believe that you have to be a professional investor in order to invest in the stock market. So I think we're in a position today, and the last 3 months isn't helping anyone. Last 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. For most people, they've only seen a stock market go up and to the right, and now it's going down and to the right, today's activity notwithstanding. And so I think there needs to be a lot of education with respect to what it means to invest, how to invest, and then the role that portfolio diversification can play in someone's retirement portfolio. And for us, we believe that alternative assets play a really important role because it reduces overall volatility, and it increases the potential returns over time.
You know what, Eric, I found this interesting. And to your point earlier that millennials are nervous when it comes to investing in the stock market. But one of your findings was that nearly 40% of millennials own cryptocurrency, right? So that sounds a little bit counterintuitive. Was this surprising to you?
So to put that in context, the 40% owning crypto is more than the percentage of millennials who said they own mutual funds.
Right.
So that was certainly surprising to me. 40% of millennials being invested in crypto, not so much. And I say that because I think some of this has to do with pandemic, some of this has to do with Robinhood, and some of this has to do with ease of investment opportunity that hasn't existed in the past. But I think the other thing, if you connect the two dots, it's like, hey, we have a real problem with the stock market. We don't think we know how to do it. And by the way, we think we can lose all our money, to crypto's having this enormous run. I need to participate there. And so I wasn't surprised by the number. I think the crypto ecosystem shakeout that's happening right now, I think we're going to have a big reset, hopefully we're going to have a regulatory framework that comes into play. And when those two things happen, I think we're going to see actually a growing percentage of millennials participating in the crypto sector.
Interesting. I'll be curious to see what the following survey says around that. How will the recent market strain impact the way millennials contribute to their 401ks and retirement plans?
So historically, when markets do what they're doing right now, which is declining, people like sort of push pause and they stop contributing to their 401ks and IRAs. And, you know, for all the good we do as humans, psychology and actual action show that we are not good traders. What we really ought to be doing is taking the opportunity to dollar cost average in right now. Totally, as the market goes down, you should be buying more and more on a regular basis. And same thing as the market starts to go back up. You really have to find a way, whether it's you yourself as an individual or with a financial advisor, to take the emotion out of it. And for those of us who are talking about retirement, like, you know, if you're a millennial, then you have a multi-decade time horizon that we're talking about. This should be mechanical,
right?
You know, every 2 weeks, every paycheck, I'm putting some percentage or some dollar amount to work. I set it and forget it.
Yep. I mean, look at the opportunity we had in 2008, 2009, and where, you know, if you kept investing then, where your assets are now, regardless of the fact that we've seen the prolonged volatility in the market. So that's a great point. So Eric, at the end of the day, is there anything else that stood out to you that you want to add?
You know, I think this is the first time in generations where millennials feel like they are going to be worse off than their parents are. Like that's a disappointing switch. I can tell you that, you know, I'm old, so my kids are 23 and 21, and they say to me, like, I don't know how I'm ever going to be able to afford a house. Mm-hmm. And I don't think they're alone. And that's just the current economic environment that we find ourselves in. You know, I think the inflation and other stuff, that's a distraction, that's short term, even though it is back to the future, and we haven't seen that number since, you know, the early 1980s. But finding a way to stay the course and make long-term investments and commitments, that's what's going to get you to the financial goal and objective that you'd really like to reach.
Yes, Eric, we should have you on the show every day evangelizing that. It was great to meet with you. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Thanks, Joe.